Good evening and welcome to the first episode of That's Major. My name is Paul Major and we'll be talking about my sneaker journey from when I was young until right now. Well, what I can remember, my first pair of sneakers was the Nike Equators and I had them in 1983. I was about 8 or 9 years old. So that was my first introduction to sneakers. I really didn't like sneakers as much. I was more into video games, but as I start seeing the players on TV, then I started liking sneakers more. The second pair of sneakers I can recall that I had was the Clark Wallaby. The Clark Wallaby derived from a German shoe and it was mixed with a British Walker. Those shoes were very comfortable. You could wear them with either jeans or dress clothes. And I really liked the shoe because of the comfortability of it. And after that, I think it was next, I went on to the Jordan 1s. They were the black and red ones. And those were my favorite shoes. I wore them with everything because I didn't have a lot of shoes at the time. Then I started gathering more shoes after my mom passed. That was when I was around like maybe 7 years old. And I really got into the sneakers heavy in the video games. So after around, I think I was 11 years old, I moved to Charleston, South Carolina with my father and my stepmother, Paul Pender and Gail Pender. So I got into the Deion Sanders. That was the first introduction of the Deion Sanders Nike Turfs. And I love those shoes. After that, I went on to get the Air Force Mids. And the Air Force Mids, everybody doesn't know, they came out in like 1983. And everybody wore them. The most popular ones were the all whites. They had the all blacks too, but then they started making more colors. After that, I got into the felines a little bit. Those were the Grant Hills. I had the white and the blue, the white and navy blue, Grant Hills. After that, I got into the all flavors of the felines, which had straps. They had the color on the side of the strap that matched with the sole, and they were all colors. My favorite color was the orange and whites. After that, I really got into the Nike Uptowns, as they call them, the Rasheed Wallaces, and they had them on the side like he was dunking like this. And those were my favorite shoes for a while. But then after that, I got into the pennies. I loved the pennies. They were comfortable. He was one of my favorite players. Not knocking Jordan, but I love the pennies. I like the penny shoes better than most of the Jordans, except the three cements. Now I love the three cements, so I can't really knock them, but I love the pennies. And then around 1990, the first shoes of the foam posits came out. Those were the penny foam posits, and they were the all white with the navy blue check. And I begged my grandmother to get them. She really didn't want to get them for me, but she got them for me anyway. So I got them and I wore them a long time because they cost so much at the time that she said, well, you're not going to get any other sneakers. So I said, well, that's fine. So after that, I transitioned into the number 7 Olympic Jordans. Now, those were the first shoes that was like $125. When I got those shoes, I knew I wasn't getting nothing else. So every outfit that I had, I wore that until I was able to get another pair of shoes, which was like the middle of my school year. And that second pair of shoes I got after that was the Nike Air Raids. They were, I don't know if they were something like the Black History, and they had the orange, green, and red in them, and they had a little an X in the middle of them to represent black people, from what I was told anyway. And I wore those. I had they had these jerseys and sweatshirts called Black College. And they got them out now until they came back. And I wore those with them. And after that, I went to the, what was it? Give me a minute. I went to the Elises. Now the Elises were something like Wallaby Clarks, but they had like fur around the midsole of it, but they were real comfortable. They had all colors of them. The only colors I had was the black and the dark brown. It was like a chocolate brown, and it had black at the midsole. So those were, to me, those were like a casual shoe. I wore those for about a year. Then I got into the Timberlands after that. Now my first Timberlands that I had were the Butters, but I didn't like the Butters. Actually, I liked the all black Tims. So I had the all black Tims, and then around that next year I got the burnt orange. Now the burnt orange, if you look these up, these were the smoothest leather Tims I ever seen, just because of the color of them anyway. After that, I went on to the um, what were they? The Reggie Miller Air Up Tempos. Now those shoes were really expensive, so I couldn't afford to get all the pairs that I really wanted to get. So I got the gray, and I had the black with the lime green check on. So I'm gonna rewind back a little bit to where I got the Bo Jacksons. Now I didn't even mean to leave these out. The Bo Jacksons were one of my favorite shoes ever. I had the black. All right, I was in the 7th grade in Masons Lane. I had the black and gray Bo Jacksons. I had a pair of Major Damage jeans. That's what we wore then, and they had X's on the knee part of them. I had a black mock turtleneck, and I had silver fronts. And I couldn't really afford a gold front, so I had to have the silver fronts. And I thought I was the flyest thing in school when I came like that. But anyway, we're gonna go back to where I was at. After those up tempos, I went on to, what was it? The British Walkers. Now none of these are in order. I'm just going and telling you my sneaker journey of the shoes that I had. The British Walkers were something, they were like Wallabies before Wallabies. And then I also had the Hush Puppies. And I mean, I loved, they were really comfortable. The soles, only thing about the soles to me was if you walked on something, even if it wasn't really slippery, the shoes would slide because of the type of sole they had. So after that, I went to the Brooks. Now, if anybody know anything about Brooks, Brooks were the first running shoes before Saucony's, before Asics gels, and they look similar, just like the Spot Builds. Now, if anybody had the Spot Builds, this is my opinion. I think Saucony's bit the name and the design from the Spot Build, because that little S on the side of Saucony's, those are really the same symbol that's on the Spot Builds if you look them up. My other favorite shoes that I had were the Air Max 1s. Those were Tinker Hatfield. He made those, matter of fact, like he made most of the Jordans. Now the Air Max 1s, I loved them, but the toe went up like a genie shoe. That's the only thing I didn't like about them. And the air bubble it wasn't centered like it should have been. It was more like towards the front of the midsole. But even though those were a great shoe to me, another shoe that I liked was the Air Max 95s. The only pair of Air Max 95s I had was the gray and the lime green, and everybody had them. After that, I started getting into the New Balance. My favorite New Balance was the 574. I had the blue with the green, I had the all black with the white, and I had the all gray. The all gray with the little, the white end was the best pair I think they ever made. After that, I went into the 576s. They were real comfortable. I just thought they were a little bit bulky, but they were a good shoe. I had the green and orange ones. It was like the Miami Hurricanes color. Matter of fact, I had the Miami Hurricanes fitted hat with it. After that, I went to the 990s, which people are wearing right now. It's just a new rendition of the 990s. But actually, the 990s came out in 87. But they just made a lot of changes to it. So everybody thinks it's a new shoe, but it's really an old shoe. From the 990s, I went to the 1500s. Now, I love the 1500s. At the time, they didn't have a lot of colors like they got right now. So I was more interested in them making more colors, but at the time they didn't, because if you look at any type of shoes that we're talking about right now, New Balance has more shoes than any other of the shoes. They had from 1500s down to the 376s. And another shoe that I really loved that I had was the olive green and black number nines. And I want to give a shout out to my man Q Ball. Q Ball gave me my first pair of Jordans when I was young. And when he gave me them, I'm gonna tell you what I had with them. I had the army fatigue starter rain suit, the pants and the jacket. And I had it with the line with those olive green and black number nines that he gave me. Now, he really gave me the transition to loving Jordans the way that I did. Even though I didn't buy a lot of them. But the Concords was really one of my favorite for as the Jordans. I didn't wear a lot of Jordans. The only Jordans that I really had was the ones, the nines, the threes. I had a pair of 14s. I had the 20s. I had the eights. I didn't really personally I didn't like a lot of Jordans. So those were the ones that I had. Another shoe that I had that I think everybody from my era had was the Reebok Classics. They had at the time it was only the all white and the all black. Later on they did the gum soles, but I don't know nobody really liked them. Actually, I didn't even like the Reebok Classics, but they were popular at the time. But my favorite Reebok that I had was the Reebok Club C's. I mean, they were. It wasn't a lot with them. It was just a regular Reebok shoe. Had a little Club C on the side. The ones I had. Then I had um, the Reebok pumps. Now I love them. The Shaq Reebok pumps. The ones that I had were the ones for the Orlando Magic, and I had Orlando Magic jersey with it. It was the blue, the black, and the white. And those were really the only Reeboks I was into. And then I really got after that I got into the Adidas. Now I might be saying this wrong, but I call them the Adidas Tourisons. Those were one of my favorite Adidas. Beside that, it was the equipment trainer Adidas, the Adidas EQT, and I really love those. I had those, and I also had. If I'm saying this wrong, forgive me. The Rod Laver Adidas. And those were my all-time favorite Adidas. They were all white. They had a little bit of a gum sole, and they also had some green in them. And after that, the other shoes, and I had a lot of shoes, but if you look at what I'm saying, it's not a lot of shoes. If you look at over the years from then to now, the other shoes that I had were the Converse. Now, myself, I was into a lot of basketball players. I didn't just like one basketball player's shoes. I liked all the basketball players' shoes. I had the Wayne Gretzky's, and I liked those. And I had the Magic Johnson Converse. I mean, they were horrible. Just my opinion. They were the ugliest shoe I ever had. But it was the fact that they was Magic Johnson shoes that I wanted them. I even had the Worthy Converse, and they were horrible. But it's just the fact they were Worthy. Um, the Tony Kukoc up tempos, I had those, and I didn't really like them. But it was the fact that I really like different players, sports players. So I got those. Just like I said from the Deion Sanders Air Turfs. I think those were the best Nikes that came out. And I'm not sure the year they came out, but they were the best to me that came out at that time. After that, I went into the, what were they called? Oh, man. They were, give me a second. They were a pair of Adidas. I can't think of the name of them, but they had multiple colors. And they were real comfortable. They were running Adidas. They had a funny midsole and the top curled up. So if anybody can think of that, just let me know so I can bring back the name of these Adidas that I'm talking about. So that was my sneaker journey. Right now I want to try to get into a little bit of something else that I'm very passionate about, and that's fashion. Like right now, this hat and this shirt, I made this today for the show. It's called That's Major. I also have a number of numerous clothing lines, different brands, which you can see is Popular Nobodies, Unspoken, and another Popular Nobodies. I also have a few hats that I've done that you can see that I have on the table in the front, and all of them will be available on my website that I'm still working on now currently. So I will not give the name of the website right now until I have everything finished, which you can find everything you need. You can purchase from me, and also down the line I will be broadcasting some of the books that I've written, but I'm still waiting to get everything published. So when I get everything finished, then my books will be available online too. So I want to thank you for joining me and taking this sneaker journey with me. My name is Paul Major, and thank y'all, and I will see you guys again in 2 weeks. Thank you.